Previously on the Rock Critic.
No, no, no,
No one knew what to expect on this new record, but I can tell you one thing, no one was expecting this! I mean, right from the get-go, you know something's off about this album. Just look at the cover. I mean, every other Metallica cover had a dark, ominous tone, and you know what you were in for. You can look at these albums and know right away that they're going to be dark, sinister, electrifying, spooky. Okay, bad example. But now look at the cover to Saint Anger. I mean, it's just all wrong. There's way too many bright colors and flashy tones on display. It doesn't look like a Metallica album. It's so needlessly loud and extravagant. Plus, the band's name isn't anywhere on here. And then you look at the back cover and it's like, oh my god! What's wrong with your face? Hell, the Black Album's cover art was practically a carbon copy of Spinal Tap's Smell the Glove, and even it served as a better cover than this.
It's like, how much more black could this be? And the answer is none. Is that good? More black.
There's nothing on this album cover that really screams Metallica to me. Honestly, if you'd slipped a Disturbed or a Rage Against the Machine sticker on this by accident, I might not be able to tell the difference. The hell would you? Look at this thing. At least until I popped it in my CD player. I mean, listen to that. This is the very first thing you hear on the album. The washed out guitars, that fuzzy, incomprehensible bass, and none of this sounds like Metallica. You'd almost think you picked up a new Fear Factory by mistake. I mean, there's no band name on the cover. Hell, maybe I did. And then the drums kick in. And shit starts getting painful. Seriously, what the hell is Lars hitting on that's making that sound? Seriously, what is it? A tin can? An empty oil drum? Michael Bay's skull? What the hell is that noise? It's so hollow and it just rings out in this unnaturally clangy way. It feels so off and it's louder than any of the other drums being hit. Hell, it's louder than the freaking cymbals! And while we're on the subject, where's the snare? Seriously, can anyone hear a snare drum in this album? I mean, anywhere? Well, believe it or not, there is a snare drum being played on Saint Anger. It's being played on every single song. The only difference is, Lars, for no discernible reason, decided to take the snare part of the snare drum and unhook it. For the entire fucking album! And in case you were wondering, the snare is what causes that crispy, clappy sound in your most basic drum setup. I mean, have you ever heard a drum roll? That's a snare. It adds a high-pitched punch to the overall sound of the kit, but when you detach the snare part from the actual snare drum, the crispness and clappiness just becomes muted out, and it turns the snare drum into just another tom. A much smaller, much less spacious tom that doesn't allow much room for the sound to reverberate, and hence... Yeah, that. Hell, maybe Lars can explain it better than I can.
Rock and roll? Saint Anger. That's simple. Loss of revenue. No album sold. That's it right there.
The lyrics also do a lot to take you out of the moment on this album. Granted, Metallica was never exactly the Velvet Underground or anything, when it came to lyrics at least, but they were at least serviceable. I mean, metal lyrics just have to keep you interested in the music. These lyrics, though, they go to some weird places.
My lifestyle determines my death style.
Wow, really? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad you got over your alcohol problems, James, but could you leave the AA slogans out of the lyrics, please?
Motherfuckers got in my head, trying to make me someone else instead.
The motherfuckers? What motherfuckers? This song just started. Who are the motherfuckers? And why should I care that what they're doing is so motherfuckery? Context. Context.
Do I not know the answer? I don't even know what
the answer, and you don't know the question, so what the fuck are we talking about?
Projector, rejector, infector, ejector, ejector, defector.
Reflector! Inspector, Skeletor, the Snare! See, it's not hard. I can do it too.
I cannot sleep in this down-filled world.
Down-filled world? I wish. That becomes a little shit. Love is control? Like, seriously, when the hell did Metallica become freaking Joy Division? I mean, don't get me wrong, Joy Division is great. I love Joy Division. But you know who they really don't sound like?
Freaking Metallica!
The vocals on this album don't do anything to complement the lyrics either. I mean, for the most part, it's your standard Metallica fare. Personally, I always liked James Hetfield's voice. It's a good middle ground between melodic straight singing and snarling shriek, and he usually had good control in switching between the styles when he needed to.
But on St. Anger, he pushes himself to some places that are way out of his range.
Oh God, James. I appreciate the effort, but you cannot go that high, man. You sound like me when I try to sing a used song.
I guess it's better you trapped yourself in your own way. And if you want me back, you're gonna have to. I'm okay. I'm okay.
A rage I gaze, I hate.
Oh, wow. Okay, there are some artists that can do falsetto, but James Hetfield is not one of them.
Many of these moments just come out of nowhere, too. You'll be enjoying the song when suddenly James will snap a vocal cord and take you right out of it. I mean, it's not the worst vocal performance I've ever heard from a metal band, but it's still distracting.
Speaking of distracting, something else is off about this album. Where's the bass? Seriously, I think I can hear it sometimes, but all the other guitars are just so fuzzy and dissonant, it's hard to tell what instrument is what.
For example, listen to this riff. Now, is that being played on a guitar or bass? I can't tell. Can you?
Maybe my ear just isn't very well tuned, but I can barely hear the bass anywhere on this album. And on the times when I do catch it, it isn't doing anything, except following the rhythm guitar.
Actually, since we're on the subject, that reminds me. Who did they get to replace Jason Newsted?
Some of you might be thinking, Rob Trujillo, right? Nope, he wasn't even hired until the album was more or less finished. No, the bassist on this album is none other than Bob Rock, the album's producer, whose other bass credentials include... Oh, okay. Has he ever done any actual instrument playing? Oh, okay, good. What albums has he played on? Oh my god! This guy's playing bass on a Metallica album?!
Don't get me wrong. As a producer, Bob Rock has some incredible albums under his belt, including the aforementioned Black Album, which I just spent 5 minutes jerking off. Here's the thing, though. Producing a metal album and playing on a metal album are two very different things!
Oh my god, what is this guy doing on a Metallica album? Why is he playing on a Metallica album? Why is he playing on a Metallica album? This shouldn't be playing on a Metallica album! This album sucks!
So now that I've harped my lungs out over everything that's wrong with this album, is it really that bad? I mean, does it deserve the widespread rancor and ire from music critics and fans alike? Well, yeah. It does. Totally. A lot.
Well, okay, it's a yes with an asterisk. I mean, this is easily Metallica's worst album, but if you can look past the wonky sound design, the eye-rolling lyrics, and teeny tiny fact that this album contains then you might find a couple of decent songs to enjoy. Hell, despite its flaws, I still like listening to the title track, and even Frantic and Unnamed Feeling have a certain charm to them.
I mean, hell, the worst that Metallica can fart out is still way better than some bands will ever sound. It's louder and faster and crazier than anything on Load and Reload. You know, you could almost say that those fans that kept bitching and complaining that, oh, Metallica's gotten too slick, they got too mainstream, kind of got their comeuppance with this album. You want Metallica to stop being mainstream? Be careful what you wish for.
The band would later ditch Bob Rock and hire Rick Rubin for their follow-up Death Magnetic, and let me tell you, that album is a triumphant return to form. It has all the elements we'd expect from a Metallica album, and all the mistakes on Saint Anger were rectified. Heavy, relentless sound, crisp, clean production, outstanding playing from every instrument. That album was the one the fans should have gotten. It's just a shame we had to wait so long to get it.
Hell, an album this bad would have probably killed any other band's career. That would have been it for them. But Metallica, they got over it. And ended up releasing one of their better albums in years as a result of this. So, maybe it's a mixed blessing in the end. I don't know. All we can say is, from that day forward, Metallica never released another bad album again. Yeah, I'm not even going to touch that one. Ooh, Saint Anger. Final thoughts? Not as bad as everyone says it is. It's still not very good. Only hardcore Metallica fans need pick this little adventure up. And that's about all that's left to say. I'm the Rock Critic, and remember, the only opinion that really matters is your own. Cheers. Now get back in that basket and stay there. What are you growling about? I said you weren't as bad as everyone says you are. It's way more generous than anyone else on the internet. Seek and destroy.